Something huge is happening with the way we use our computers, and it's all thanks to a new kind of AI from Microsoft called Fara-7B. So today, we're going to break down exactly what this thing is and why it might just change, well, everything.
You know, this quote right here just nails it. For our entire lives, we've been the ones in charge, right? Every click, every tap, every single command. But what if that whole relationship just got flipped completely on its head?
And I'm not talking about just another chatbot or some minor software update. What we're looking at here is the start of a whole new AI revolution, a new era for personal assistance.
Think about it for a second. Most of the AI we use today, well, it's conversational. It talks to us. It gives us information. But the real game changer, the true leap forward, that's an AI that can act. One that doesn't just tell you how to book a flight, it goes ahead and books it for you.
And that's exactly what Microsoft is cooking up. So let's get into it. Let's meet the star of the show today, Fara-7B. This is a whole new kind of AI agent.
So what is Fara-7B really? Well, in simple terms, it's a small AI that lives right there on your own computer. It's multimodal, which is just a fancy way of saying it can see and understand what's on your screen. And because it's on-device, it can grab your mouse and keyboard and start getting things done, just like a person would.
And this really gets to the core of why it's so different. On one side, you have the big, traditional cloud AIs. You send your request, it travels to a massive server farm somewhere, and then it comes back. It's slower, and it brings up all sorts of privacy questions. But Fara-7B, it's all happening locally, right on your machine. That means it's way faster and, crucially, it's way more private. Your data never has to leave your computer.
Okay, so that sounds cool, but how does it actually work? I mean, how can an AI just see a screen and know what to click on? Let's dive into the mechanics of it.
The secret sauce is what Microsoft calls a pixel-in, action-out approach. It's brilliant. It doesn't need to understand all the complicated code behind a website or an app. It just looks at the screen, the pixels, the visual information, the same way you and I do. And based on that, it just figures out the next logical action. It's seeing and acting like a human, not like a computer.
The whole process is actually pretty straightforward. First, it sees by taking a quick screenshot of what's happening. Second, it thinks. It uses this thing called chain of thought reasoning to basically talk itself through the problem and plan its next move. And finally, it acts. It predicts the single best action to get one step closer to finishing a job.
And when we say actions, look at what we're talking about. Left click, scroll, type. These are the basic building blocks of how we use a computer. It's not using some secret developer backdoor. It's using the exact same tools we are, which means it can work with pretty much any app or website out there.
Now, you're probably thinking, okay, a small model that runs on my laptop, it must be pretty limited, right? Well, the results tell a very, very different story.
See, the 7B and its name, that stands for 7 billion parameters. In a world where the biggest AI models are now in the trillions, that is incredibly small and efficient.
And here's the kicker. On a really tough test of real-world tasks called Web Tailbench, look at this. Fara-7B, this little 7 billion parameter model, is performing right up there with models that are 10, even 20 times its size. This is a huge deal. It shows that the future of AI might not be about building bigger and bigger models, but smarter and more efficient ones.
So what does all that great performance actually mean for you? It means automating all those tedious digital chores we all hate. You know, booking a flight with a connection and a hotel, comparing prices for a new gadget across 10 different websites, or filling out yet another mind-numbing online form.
Of course, handing over the keys to your computer to an AI, that's a pretty big deal. So Microsoft has, very wisely, built in some important guardrails. And it's also important we understand what it can't do yet.
To keep things safe, they created this really smart feature called critical points. What it means is, before Fara-7B does anything irreversible, like entering your credit card number or submitting your personal info, it stops. It actually pauses the automation and asks you, the human, for permission to continue. You are always in the driver's seat.
And we've got to be realistic here. This tech is still very new. It's mainly English only for now. If a website completely changes its layout overnight, it can get confused, and it can still struggle with really long, complex tasks. That's why for now, they recommend using it in a safe, sandboxed environment where it can't accidentally mess anything up.
So, when you take a step back and look at the big picture, what we're really seeing is a sneak peek at the next massive upgrade for our personal computers.
The first big idea to take away is that the future of powerful AI is local. It's coming out of those giant, faraway data centers and moving right onto the laptop in front of you.
And the biggest benefit of local AI is privacy. It's so important. When the thinking happens on your machine, your sensitive information, your browsing, your documents, doesn't have to be sent across the internet. It stays with you, putting you back in control.
And finally, all of this points to a future that is way more automatic. We're shifting from a world where we have to do every little tedious step ourselves to one where we can just state our goal, and our computer actually figures out how to make it happen.
Which really brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? This stuff isn't science fiction anymore. As these AI agents get smarter and more capable, every single one of us is going to have to decide how much of our digital life we're willing to automate. So I'll leave you with this. Would you trust an AI to use your computer for you?